We're going to talk today about the three most important meetings you're ever going to have. And I want you to have them every single week. Now, there's people out there that when they first hear this, it's almost rejected outright. Just, there's no way. No way we can fit three more meetings in a week. And that's kind of the first mistake people make. Second mistake people make is trying to do the three meetings I'm asking for them to do, but cram them in. Like literally, we're going to cram these three meetings in somehow and we're going to make them work. Never works because then we're rushed, we're a little bit frantic. It's just not working for us to do the whole, like try to fit three more things in. And then the third thing that people do that really does work is they cancel some stuff in order to make these three meetings work because they want to invest in the relationship. And so I want you to consider doing it that way. I want you to consider the idea that we're going to invest in this relationship. We're going to invest in it in such a way that that everyone around us, including our kids, including our family, and each other, understand that this relationship is it's important enough that we invest in it no matter what. So the first meeting we're going to talk about is a date night. Now that sounds like, well, that's not a meeting. Yeah, it is. It's got to be a time to get together and engage in a courtship. So there's dinner and a movie and home as fast as we can. There's that kind of a date night. I'm not talking about that kind of a date night. I'm talking about a 5-hour date, 5 or 6 hours, and the date has purpose. It's intentional. You literally have it planned out to where you've got stuff to do that matter for the entire 5 hours. Now, that doesn't mean there can't be just complete downtime where we just hold hands and go for a walk. It doesn't mean that that we can't go to dinner and a movie. But remember, after dinner and a movie, there's still 2 or 3 hours left to fill that you can get to know each other. And the idea around date nights is, remember, we've talked about this whole listening. We've talked about the skill of communication. We've talked about the the bringing people from acquaintances into friends, into close friends. And then somewhere in there, you find a person that's your person that you create this real significant relationship with. And then you get engaged, you get married, and then you spend the rest of eternity together, but not just spend it together. Spend the rest of eternity getting to know each other better. So the idea around this date night is to take some time and do that. We'll talk about that. Then the second meeting we're talking about is couples counsel. And I want you to think about couples counsel as a time to talk about difficult things. We're going to talk more about that in just a minute. The third meeting I'm talking about is family night, where you bring your kids into the mix. You bring them into teaching them how to do couples counsel. You teach them how to do family counsel. You teach them values and goals. You help them understand your family governing mission statement. And it's really a time of instruction. It's a time where you shut all the screens off and teach your kids your values because no one else is going to as well as you. So let's go all the way back up to date night. So the first step of date night for you to have a successful date night is to have a clear understanding of its purpose. Okay? I want you to picture your last date that you went on with your spouse, with your lover. Did you have a clear sense of purpose? Did the date have meaning? Was there a stated goal? Okay, so have a clear intentional purpose. Some portion of the purpose must include an overall courtship where you're a gentleman. You make sure that make sure you smell good, make sure you comb your hair, make sure that you went a little bit out of your way to do something that you know that your lover loves because it draws her or him to you. And so the idea is that date night's not just another night. It's a special night that you set aside each week, or a special morning that you set aside each week, or afternoon you set aside each week to court your spouse, to court your lover, to make sure that they know that they are special, that you have time for them. All the way back to dating, most of us spend our dating years investing tons of time getting to know the person we're dating, spending tons of time asking questions. I remember times reading the shampoo label just to make sure that I got it right so that I would be like almost perfect as I could be when I headed out on a date with Chris. And so the idea is to have a really clear understanding of what you're up to and be as impressive as you can as you get to know each other on a whole different level. Second thing that you want to really make sure is that you have someone in charge of the date night. How many times have we headed out on a date night and looked at each other and said, well, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. What do you want to do? Yeah, I'm easy. Why don't we go grab a... Now, there's a time for a completely unstructured, let's just fly by the seat of our pants date, but make sure you choose that on purpose. And as you head out, you say, we're going to fly by the seat of our pants and just do whatever impulse hits us. So really, that second step is understand who's in charge. Do you take turns? Chris and I always did. I arranged the dates and she arranged the people taking care of the kids. And so I would do the organizing of what we're going to do and I would kind of make that happen. And she would do the organizing of how the kids were going to be safe. And so however you do it, make sure that you know who's planning what so that it's intentional. Don't get to date night and then start asking. All right. So during that whole second step, somewhere in there, you might have a bucket list. You might have like a little jar that each of you put 50 date night ideas in. And then every Sunday night, draw one of the ideas out, and that's your date night for the week. Then you just got to choose who plans it. And so you got all kinds of ideas for how to do an intentional date night. Okay. And so that's super important. Now, I am asked all the time, what do you do for 5 hours? I think many of us could take lessons from our kids, our teenagers that go out on dates. They do day dates. They start their dates at 7 in the morning and go till midnight because they have breakfast plans, lunch plans, picture plans, dance plans, and four-wheeling plans. I took my kids when they went out on their day dates. We would take them rappelling. We'd bring them over to the house for a big barbecue and pickleball. So there's all kinds of things that we could learn from our teenagers, but really just think through the lens of getting to know each other better. Take each other out on a date for a picnic. Here in southern Utah, you can go to a scenic spot. You can go up on the Dixie Hill. You can go up on the Lavercan Overlook. There's all kinds of places that you can go and make out and have a picnic. So think a little bit outside of the box on this. Have a dinner discussion, like be intentional. So sit down at the dinner table and say, okay, if you're organizing the day, say this portion of the date is we're going to eat dinner. And the goal is sometime during our dinner, find out something new about each other. Now, some of you have been married for 30 years. Chris and I are going on our 34th year of marriage. Can we still find something new? Yeah. See, think through the lens of you're gathering data all day long. Data coming in, data going out. You're like learning, you're listening, you're seeing the world. Every single day, you're uploading into your brain and into your long-term memory new data. Even the most boring existence is gathering new stuff, even just while you drive to and from your work. And so every single week, there's something new that your partner's witnessed, something new that your partner's thought about. Find out what that is. Find out 2 or 3, but maybe the goal is 1 each just during the course of dinner, and make sure that as soon as you learn something new, you highlight it. All right, I just learned something new about you, and let me check in with you. This is what I think I learned, and get confirmation that the learning thing is true. Can you see how week after week you'll stay on top of knowledge? You'll stay on top of understanding each other. You'll stay on top of that getting to know each other. That's super powerful. Do an activity. Like grab some dinner, get to know each other, and then maybe after dinner, play a new board game that you've never played. Run to Target, purchase a board game that you've never played, and learn the rules together and play it. Or pick up a game of dominoes or Yahtzee, or go find a pickleball court and hit a ball around, or go find a tennis court and practice tennis. Line up a tennis lesson. Get one of your friends that are really good at tennis or pickleball and have them come out and teach you a lesson. Now, the idea behind this is you're taking special time to learn a skill together, learn a new hobby together. So you can see there's all kinds of things that you can do on a date night. Sometimes you can send the kids somewhere and stay home for a date. You can, the romantic do a 5-hour Netflix, naked Netflix, and just really relax and lean into the movie and enjoy each other's company, tickle each other's back, get the feathers out, whatever you do. It's like think outside of the box for this date night. Some questions that you might ask each other is on these date nights, just to get to know each other, is ask again, who is your best friend in childhood? Through your teen years, who did you hang out with the most and what did you do? Where do you like to go if you need time to be alone and think? What is your favorite thinking spot? Have you ever asked your partner that? Have you ever asked your lover that when you do something, or when you receive something kind, do you like to hear thank you? Do you like a hug with a thank you? Do you prefer that your partner just looks you in the eyes and just is grateful? How do you like expressions of gratitude? I mean, there is huggy people that like a big hug when they're grateful. Some people just like a solid thank you. What's your favorite memory? What's your favorite date night memory? What is your favorite vacation memory? See, these are all questions that you can ask over and over again throughout your marriage. Now, mix it up. In fact, we've got a list here that we're going to post of 50 or so questions that you can ask each other, and we'll have that somewhere where you can see them. Okay. So now you understand date night just a little bit. I want you to always remember that if you do a date night every week, every single week that you're married, every single week, you'll stay married for eternity. You'll stay in love for eternity. You'll stay updated. I want you to also remember that there's times where we're tense in our relationships, times where maybe we even need a little counseling in our relationships to keep the juice alive. During those times, on your date night, leave the problems home and just enjoy each other. Just engage in the courtship. Just go out and be with each other. If it's so tense that you can't do that, maybe begin the date with a couples counsel that we're going to talk about next. But somehow get in that space where you can just be in love and have fun. Take all the heavy stuff and just set it on the shelf for a minute and go out and impress each other, have fun with each other, laugh out loud with each other. Now, couples counsel is that second meeting. So remember we talked about date night being 5 or 6 hours. Couples counsel is 2-ish hours. And so that's a good long meeting. Now, you don't want to set couples counsel up for 20 minutes or 30 minutes because you want time to get through the whole couples counsel. Some of the things that you do on couples counsel is that I always suggest you begin with a prayer together. Now, this is time where just the two of you and your partner, you and your spouse, are sitting together to orchestrate family business. Okay? This is if you look super official at it, there's the sibling system, and then there's the executive system, and then there's the family system. So the family system is when everybody's together. The executive system is the parents, and the sibling system is the kids. The kids do their own thing. You might have them out watching a movie. You might have them, however you want to take care of them, so I can get a babysitter. But get them busy so that you can have uninterrupted time. During these meetings, you want to shut the phones off, except for your calendaring phone. And you want to have this time to first say a prayer together, petition your higher power, petition your Heavenly Father for help in this meeting and bringing you together, bringing you closer. Maybe take a moment and do some meditation together. Whatever your process is of worship, bring that into it, okay? Share a thought for the day. Share a thought for the week, because this is a once-a-week meeting. And so a couple hours once a week, you're saying a prayer, you're opening it up with a thought. And then very first thing I suggest couples do is talk about the things in the relationship that work really well. What are you grateful for? What are some things that your partner has done in the last week that you've noticed that made your day, that made you smile, that made you happy, that helped you feel supported and loved? Now imagine you're spending all week looking for things to bring to the meeting, which means you're noticing stuff. That's super handy because so many times we can get in this habit of only noticing what's going wrong. We get in the habit of noticing what hurts. We get in the habit defending what problems we see in the marriage instead of enjoying seeing the progress and the good. So this is an opportunity to look for the good to bring to the meeting. Second thing I suggest you do after you say your prayers together, have a meditation time together, have a spiritual thought together, talk about the good, the things that are working, is follow up on any agreements you've made in the past councils, in the past meetings that you've had. Make certain that these agreements get written down and followed up on so that it's like the meeting has meaning. You don't just have another meeting like you do at work sometimes, and you don't just go from meeting to meeting and never really remember the agreements that you've made. So let's say that you agreed in the last meeting that he was going to swear less and she was going to be more on time for church. So in the next meeting, you talk about, okay, did that work? Are we getting closer because we're meeting each other's needs better? Is there things that we committed to do that we did really well? Is there things that we need a little bit of work on? After that, start talking for a while. This one is the one where you want to make sure you do really well with no defensiveness. This is where you bring all those communication skills that we learned in session 2 and really listen to each other. What needs to be improved in the relationship to become a little happier, just a little more satisfied, have a little bit more juice in the relationship? What are some things that are getting in the way of pure joy? Now, I hope that you don't bring 30 things in. 2 or 3 things each is about all a couple can handle, okay? If you go over 2 or 3, you get overwhelmed and you end up not doing anything. So pick your top 2 or 3 things and talk with each other about how they're not working and what we can change and what needs to happen, and get to a place where you both feel heard on each of the topics, and then make some agreements that you both feel that are valuable towards making the relationship work. Now, let's say that you're being asked to change something that you don't want to change. Then if you're really clear, direct, and honest and talk through why you don't want to change and get understood, and if your partner feels really understood on why they would like to see change, you can at least get to a place where you have common ground and make it a little bit better. So always search for maybe not perfect, but search for a little step in a direction. And I promise, if you both feel completely understood and listened to, there's always going to be, I promise you this, there's always going to be that one little thing that you both agree on in that area that will make it a little bit better. It might be something that just shows up in the understanding each other. It might be something that's out of your awareness until you really talk through it with each other. So be really good about ways to improve. Be really good about being clear with the issue. Use I statements like, I need more help around the house. Could you see putting more time into chores? So that's making a bold ownership, accountable I statement. I would like to have more peace and harmony in the home, less chaos. Could you help me with that? Instead of, you and the kids are just too noisy and I can't think straight. See, one's a blaming statement, one's an I statement. So think through that lens of being accountable for what you want. Be accountable for getting your needs met. Be accountable for what you're asking, and then work through the issue with your spouse, with your partner, until you both have some similar shared vision to move forward. These are going to be a little bit harder. Sometimes you don't see eye to eye, and that's okay. The fact that you're able to talk about it is going to be very romantic. It's going to help the relationship no matter how else it looks. Logistics for managing a family can be talked about last. Logistics are things like, when is our date night? Let's plan a vacation. What are some parenting things we both need to work on? Update your needs list. What are your needs to be happy? Who needs help and who needs rides? And what are some of the things that are out of the ordinary this week that are coming up that we need to focus on? So that's your couples counsel. You can see how it could take a couple of hours if you cover those things well every week, and you end with a prayer asking your higher power, your Heavenly Father, to support you. I promise you, you have a God in heaven that is wholly interested in your success, in your relationship success, in your family success. Family is the key government of this earth, and God's interested in its success. And so you will have all the help that you need, and you want to ask for it. You want to talk with your Heavenly Father about it, and you want to petition your Heavenly Father for support for each other. It's super romantic, it's super vulnerable, and it's intimate. So I challenge you to do that. Family night's that third meeting. That's another 4 or 5 hours. You take the evening and you start with dinner after work and you spend the evening as a family. Now, just like date night and just like couples counsel, this is where you bring the kids together. You open with a prayer, maybe have a meditation with your kids. You have one of your kids share a thought for the week and you assign it the week before for the next week. You talk a little bit about what's working in the family, what you're grateful for. Each member of the family gets to hear from their parents, and the parents get to hear from each member of the family, as do the siblings. So as your kids grow, if you're a newlywed without kids, have the family night without kids, and then you'll be in the habit of having it when you have kids. As your kids grow, if you do this week after week after week, by the time they're teenagers and they're disappearing on you, they'll just know this meeting's going to happen. So can you see how important this is to get in this habit of having this meeting? Talk about what will make our family stronger. Have everybody take a turn pointing out things that they believe will make the family stronger. And so you see how now the kids are getting involved in ownership and the vision of the direction of the family. Talk about schedules and activities that need to be managed. Have each kid take a turn and talk about what they have going on, what's important to them, what are things that they're trying to get to, and maybe what are things that they don't want to do that they're doing that they might need your help with. Talk with your family about the family budget. Talk about where the money goes that comes in. Help them understand the importance of expenses and accounting for money and accounting for time investment. And so you do like a time budget and an intimate spending plan with the kids. Do an activity that the kids want to do. Have every kid take a turn when they're old enough to plan the activity. And from the youngest to the oldest, everybody's involved in the activity that the one wants to prepare. So sometimes the youngest has them do a coloring book project, and the older kids might think that's dumb, but if they jump right in with both feet, it'll draw them together. It'll make that youngest child feel special, feel like they participated, and they'll have some ownership in it. So if you can see the wisdom in this family council, in this couples council, in this date night, if you just do those 3 meetings, if you clear some time out, cancel some things, cancel some of the things that you've got jammed into your schedule that are not as important as investing in your marriage. If you'll do this, I promise you a more juicy, healthy, happy marriage. It'll be longer lasting. You'll be more connected, more in love. There'll be more intimacy. There'll be more connection with your kids. There'll be more opportunity to teach and to help your kids grow in this world. It's a messy, messy world. This is one way to invest in making sure things go forward in a healthy way. Thank you so much. We'll be back in our next session where we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about sex and how we spend our time. So get ready for that. We'll talk to you soon.